Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. Serge. Welcome back to another episode for Search for the Truth. And my goal with this show is to empower people with knowledge. And the goal is really to help you to help better using diet, natural options. And today I'm really excited to have my following guest, Miss Maria. Hi, thank you for coming to the show and joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm very honored.
Good, thank you. So, if you guys have any question, please you can leave some question or comments in the chat section so I can ask her. So, first of all, can you tell us about you yourself and why you're so passionate about the keto diet, right, or just diet in general?
Well, when I was 16 years old, I was literally twice my size. And I went to the doctor because I wasn't feeling well. And at that visit, my doctor said, you have PCOS, which is basically polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is a diabetes that affects female fertility. I had acid reflux. I had depression pretty bad, and I was given something for IBS. So I was given 3 prescription meds.
Wow.
But I didn't want to do that. And being told that you can't have your own children at age 16 was pretty mind blowing. And I was always an athlete. I was one of the best athletes, but I was just one of the biggest ones. And so, like, I could not outrun a bad diet. And at the time, I worked at a coffee shop where before school, I would go and I would make the scones and the muffins and the cinnamon rolls. And then after school, I would go back to the coffee shop and we would close about 5 p.m. And whatever didn't sell that day, I got to go home with. And so I would make sure to make extra cinnamon rolls in the morning because that's what I wanted to eat. And so when I realized, my doctor said it was nothing I was doing wrong, it was just the cards I was dealt, which you know, I know now that she was totally ignorant to what is causing PCOS because it's excess caffeine, sugar, and carbohydrates. And that's what I lived off of. So I had to really change my diet, and I did not want to eat chicken breast and broccoli, and I still do not. I just got into the kitchen and started making some of my favorite recipes into, low carb, healthy options without any sugar. And that's how I've been eating for, like 25 years now. So I reversed PCOS. My depression went away right away. I no longer have IBS. I no longer have acid reflux. And food really did heal me. And I love helping other people heal themselves too, because they get to eat really good food and they get off their medications. And some people are like, my doctor said I could never get off of my Hashimoto's meds. I'm like, well, let's prove him wrong or her wrong, because I know you can. And so they just, I love seeing people get healthy and happy.
That's amazing. And you mentioned PCOS, and this is something that it's more common than what people think, actually.
Oh, yeah.
But if you listen to the medical community, like you said, if you have PCOS or labeled with those conditions, there's nothing you can do. But PCOS can be reversed with diet. You did it. So how did you do it?
I cut out all carbohydrates. I cut out all caffeine. I cut out alcohol. I added in certain supplements. And yeah, it's really important to cut out both carbohydrates, sugar, and caffeine too.
Do you mean like completely cut out 100%, or you can have some?
When I say carbohydrates, if you stick to low carb vegetables, that's something different. But
Yes.
when I say caffeine, I mean all, because caffeine
Yeah.
increases androgens.
Yes.
And, we're having too many androgens in a female body. But yeah, when I say carbohydrates, I mean like the potatoes, the sweet potatoes, the rice, the breads, the pasta, those things.
Those big starchy foods, the carbs, yes. So basically, you were in ketosis, you were in keto diet.
Yeah, was it called then? It wasn't popular. Sure, that was
Yeah,
out there for epilepsy or seizures, but it might have been more known as Atkins at the time. But yeah.
yeah. So, you mentioned epilepsy, seizures. So keto has been around for a long time. I would like to focus a little bit on keto because that's That's a really popular diet, and there's quite a bit of confusion on there. So I would like to go over some of the myths or confusion when it comes to the keto diet. So the keto diet has been around for quite some time, right?
Yes, and a lot of people mistakenly think that it's an automatic weight loss diet, and it's really not if they follow the keto diet started for epilepsy or seizures, and in that case, it's a very high fat, moderate protein, low carbohydrate approach where you aim for more fat because higher ketones do make an impact on epilepsy. However, if you're trying to lose weight, you do not have to eat high fat because your body already is high fat.
Yeah.
And so, in order to let your body use your body fat for fuel, you have to dial down that dietary fat. So, we kind of flip. We increase protein, moderate the fat, and keep the carbohydrates low. You will be in ketosis. You won't read as high of ketones, but it doesn't matter because high ketones don't mean better fat burning at all. And in fact, mine are extremely low. One, because I've been doing it so long, my body's very efficient. And two, I run every day in a fasted state. And that means I'm using my ketones for energy. And some people get very, depressed, like, oh, my ketones are only like 0.3 or whatever. It's like, that's not a big deal.
I have to say that people focus sometimes a little bit too much on the ketone. That's not the key, I believe. And you're right. I've seen so many people over the years trying the keto diet, and either you get really, really good results or you don't. And I think the primary mistake is they eat too much fat.
Too much fat, dairy, nuts, yeah, all of that type of stuff.
All of the above. So can you help us to understand? I hear sometimes people talk about the dirty keto or the clean keto. So can you help us a little bit understand? Because I see so many people doing the not so good keto diet. You know what I mean?
It's funny. I had a client who was on the cover of Women's World magazine, and I helped her lose almost 300 pounds.
Wow.
And on the cover, it said, Twyla loses 300 pounds on ultra keto. And I was like, when was I ultra keto? It's just eating real food. Now, I tell people, if it comes out of a package, I wouldn't eat it.
Yeah.
So what happened is keto diet got very popular, and all of these companies jumped on the bandwagon and started making keto breads and keto pasta and all this stuff with a lot of tapioca starch and inulin fiber and all this stuff I would never touch nor recommend. And so, you go to Costco now and you see keto bread. It's filled with gluten. It's filled with junk. Like, it's not keto in my mind at all, but technically it can say only 3 net carbohydrates. If you count net carbohydrates, you will fail. There's a popular keto type of a bar out there, a Quest bar, and it's like 23 grams of carbohydrates, but it has like 20 grams of fiber. So they can say only 3 net carbs. Well, that has the same amount of carbs as a Kit Kat bar, and a Kit Kat tastes way better. And it's going to affect your blood sugar probably the same.
So you have to start reading the labels. And
if it has a label, you probably shouldn't be eating it.
You're right. But at the end of the day, like I do, people are looking for convenience, right? So that's why I believe there's so many keto options out there.
Here's the thing, Dr. Serge. Nobody's busier than I am, okay? I wrote 3 books this year.
Wow.
I work with Halle Berry. I have clients every day. We homeschool our children. Like, I'm on a Netflix television show. Like, nobody's busier than I am, and I find time to make food. It's an excuse because you know what? Here's another thing. I think it might be even today. Today's like National Fast Food Day. And we did this joke where my husband jumped in the car with one of my kids and drove to Chipotle, because Chipotle is a common place. A lot of people think they can eat keto there with just the meat and maybe some lettuce and peppers, whatever. And then we made Chipotle at home. Okay. And at home, we use organic beef. We use all organic foods. And not only was it a fourth of the price, by the time he came home with the food, and it's only about 3 miles away from our house, and it was at like 2 p.m., so he did not wait in line. By the time he came home, we were done eating and cleaned up, and we had leftovers. So it's not faster. It's not cheaper.
Yeah.
but you do have to actually move. But you know what? You don't have to exercise so much if you just move your body instead of sitting in the car, you know? And I'm not trying to be a nilly-nally. I lived off of Twizzlers and Mountain Dew. I know that like food can be an addiction, but once you get it out of the house and out of, you know, your habits and your palate can change. I was such a picky eater. I made my best friend's mom cry because I would never eat her food. But you're in charge, you know, you can change your palate. And especially if you have kids. My kids are 11 and 12. They don't know any different, but they don't have a car, they don't have money.
Yeah. Exactly. You're in charge, and you're right. It's a mindset. I mean, I've been following you on Facebook, for example, for a while, and you're so busy on Facebook, social media. I see you kids and playing with food. I mean, it's really you do a really good job, by the way.
Thank
So
you.
it's really exciting to look at you and just cook at home.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't know, nothing tastes as good as how great I feel right now. You
Yeah,
know, it's just really, but honestly, I love the food. And when we do go to restaurants, which we do, I'm like, oh man, I could have done a better job because like
yeah,
you just learn different things on how to make umami. Umami is that great flavor that you can create with sauces. And I love sauces. So when I do a steak, I always have a great sauce with it or fish or whatever. But yeah, I think that some of the greatest compliments I've gotten are you taught me how to be a chef, and I never even liked to cook. And you know, like that type of stuff is really that brings me so much joy because again, I'm a foodie. I don't want to eat bland food, and
yeah.
you can eat really good at home.
You can, and people don't take the time. I mean, people are stressed out. They eat junk food, right? So that depletes the body, the vitality, they don't have the energy. So it's a bit of a vicious cycle. So you have to take the first step.
Right. And I work with a lot of hospitals that work with antidepressants and, you know, low serotonin, anti-anxiety, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And they started working with me because they wanted to put kitchens into the hospital. Why?
Wow.
Because when you get into the kitchen and you create something that other people are enjoying, it feels really good in your mind. And
Yes.
so first you have to get the patient into the kitchen because that's, you know, just doing anything's hard enough.
Yeah.
But once they create food and give to others, it really helps boost your mood. It helps me when I have a really stressed out day. The last thing I want to do is get in the kitchen and make a bunch of stuff. But when my family is like, oh, mom, this is so good, I'm like, that's awesome.
And there's a way to make food so tasty. There's always a way.
And
There's
it
always a way.
can be really easy because I batch cook a lot. Like when
Yeah.
I make my Mama Maria's meatballs, I make like a quadruple batch if I have everything out, and then I just freeze them. And my kids can put them on the toaster oven, and they throw some marinara sauce on it. And it's really good, you
That's
know.
amazing. I mean, people believe because you had to change the diet, you're missing food that you used to eat, right? But like I said, when I check your Facebook page, you have all those desserts and all those recipes. It looks so good.
Yeah, if anybody's like new to this and they're
Yeah.
looking for some, I suggest my flourless chocolate cake. There's no flour in it. It's only 5 ingredients. It's very delicious. And it can be made dairy free too. If you don't want to use butter, use coconut oil. And it's like, it will be on our Thanksgiving table for sure.
Oh, that sounds amazing. So
Super
do
easy.
you are you a fan of dairy products when you do keto?
It depends on who I'm working with. If there's any
Okay.
autoimmune issues, I would say
Yeah.
no. For weight loss, I would say no. Now that I'm not trying to lose weight, I'm quite active. I incorporate some,
Yeah.
but I would say I focus on protein more than dairy.
Okay.
You know, because that's where the nutrients are. You know.
Yeah, you're right. So a question that I get a lot, actually last week, somebody asked me, so what's the difference between keto and paleo?
And paleo, I like to think of keto of like paleo on steroids because paleo gets rid of the grains and you know the dairy too. But my version of keto is also dairy free, but we have to lower the carbs more because sure, if someone's going from a standard American diet to paleo, they're going to feel somewhat better. However, if they have type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, whatever, they're probably not going to get off medication until they get those carbohydrates even lower. because they are metabolically damaged. And honestly, like a lifestyle of eating the standard American diet, most people have to go to that whole nother step of cutting carbs.
They do, especially the carbs in this country, right? It's too refined, it's processed,
Right.
it's depleted.
But like even honey's allowed on paleo, and honey is higher in fructose than white table sugar. And what's interesting about this is people are like, oh, it doesn't affect my blood sugar so much. But you know what it does? It goes right to the liver, causing fatty liver disease. So agave, honey, fruits, fruit juices, that's causing fatty liver. And so I'm really not a fan of those paleo products.
I mean, thank you for saying this, because I've been saying this for years, and people believe I'm crazy if you don't use honey or agave and all those sugar. It's not healthy for you.
No, it's not. And even I wrote a sugar-free kids book, and one of the big knocks was, how can you say that fruit is sugar? And I was like, that used to be our nature's candy. That we didn't have a candy shop, hundreds of years ago. We had
Yeah.
fruit, and it was only certain times of the year, maybe 3 weeks out of the year. We don't have a banana tree in Wisconsin. I'm originally from Wisconsin, but now we have semi trucks bringing them all the time. And if you look at a wild strawberry is about the tip of your pinky finger.
Yes.
Now they're the size of your hand.
I know, huh?
We're breeding things to be sweeter and filled with sugar, even like grapes. We now have cotton candy grapes, which are 4 times higher in sugar than the original grape, which is really quite tart. And even tomatoes were found high in the Andes Mountains. Nobody liked them because they were so bitter, but
Yeah.
we've changed them and bred them to be sweet and delicious, and then we make ketchup.
I know, right? And people consider ketchup as a fruit.
Yeah,
That's another
that's cool.
question.
I think they do, yeah.
That's crazy, right? You're right. The fruits that we have today is not the same. Today I had a patient who came to me, 70%, 70 pounds overweight, 57, I believe, years old. Her dad had a heart attack. Her brother had a heart attack. They died. She started the keto diet. She lost 35 pounds in a month. Amazing. But what happened is the cholesterol went way up. And when
What's
she
this?
saw her
Oh,
heart, cholesterol, yeah, the LDL, HDL, total cholesterol, like hundreds higher. So her doctor, her cardiologist said, do not do the keto diet. You're going to die from a heart attack. And she was on statin. She was on high blood pressure. She was on those meds already. How do you handle that? What do you say to those people who believe that eating keto, it's bad for you?
Well, I would say that if you're doing a high fat version of keto, I don't recommend that with bulletproof coffee, fat bombs, that type of stuff, because that's going to cause some abnormal triglycerides. Okay. Fat has only one place to go. But if you're doing the healthy version of keto and your cholesterol does go up, like my cholesterol is about 300, and to a traditional doctor, it looks terrible,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I'm considered a lean mass hyperlipid responder because I'm using fat for my fuel. Okay.
Yeah.
However, cholesterol makes healthy hormones. So if you have low thyroid, if you have adrenal issues, if you have any sort of hormone, what happens with women, they hit a certain age, like you said, she was 50 some.
57, I believe.
57. Our ovaries are no longer spitting out estrogen or progesterone like they once would. And what happens? Yeah. Cholesterol goes up. And mistakenly, doctors put you on a statin drug, which has been proven to never help a female. It has been proven. And what happens is it lowers the hormone production even more. Their sleep gets terrible. They have pain, joint pain. Nothing. It doesn't help anything. What they need to look at is their ovaries are no longer going to put out estrogen and progesterone. Okay, so stop looking at cholesterol as a bad guy. Yeah. Look at it as the firefighter trying to help, and then find out, what are they trying to help? What's going wrong? What can we fix? Where is the inflammation? Fix the inflammation. Don't kill the firefighter.
Good point. I mean, this is something actually that I see not just when people do keto, but when people lose weight, the cholesterol tends to go a little bit higher, triglyceride. So yeah. To me, that's a normal phenomenon.
You're releasing fat into your bloodstream, as you lose weight. And so I usually recommend don't get your cholesterol taken until you are at your maintenance level for at least 6 months. But even better would be to get a calcium score. And the calcium score is going to show if you have any plaque buildup in your arteries. And
I think
that's a true issue.
I think so, because like you said, cholesterol is not really a factor when it comes to heart disease.
Can I tell a story? I had a female client who her husband was a cardiologist.
Oh,
He always made fun of her because her cholesterol was like mine in the 300s. And he always teased her that her cholesterol is really, really bad. She ate keto. He did not, because his cholesterol was great. It was, 100. It was really, really low. He thought it was wonderful. And I said, honey, let's prove him wrong. You get a calcium score. And so she did. Her calcium score was 0. His was in the 300s. He was like a minute away from a stroke.
what? Wow.
And they still thank us because it brought his mind, he realized what to look at for patients.
I mean, it's all about the numbers for them. And actually, I read a study, I believe it was yesterday, that came out that shows that if your cholesterol is too low, it increases your risk of death.
Cancer.
Exactly, cancer and diabetes and dementia and so on and so on.
Yep.
I'm sure you're familiar with the medical literature. The last couple of months, there was quite a few studies that came out on keto, right? And they all show that keto is bad for you and you shouldn't do keto. It increases inflammation and cancer, like you said. So is keto safe at the end of the day?
I've been doing it for 25 years. I've never been healthier. I would say that most people are doing keto really unhealthy because
Yes.
like even with epilepsy and seizures, they make products for them to have in the hospital when they are, going through some medical issues. They basically are fed this medical drink. And this medical drink is made up of vegetable oils and like soybean oil, all of these terrible oils. Yes, it's very high in fat, but these oils are what's going to kill us, and that causes inflammation. And so, and even I see people on Instagram, and they're very popular. They have hundreds of thousands of followers, and they use the Hellman's mayo, the Kraft mayo, the ranch dressing.
Oh.
Those are filled with vegetable oils, which I believe are more harmful than sugar.
I think I will agree with you on that one. The trans fat, the rancid fats, I believe it can be problematic. Listen, we have a question from one of the listener. I'm going to put it on the screen.
Okay.
So couldn't your cholesterol go up just from cutting fake food? It seems that your body will have to compensate for a bit. What do you say to that?
It could go up because you're actually adding foods with cholesterol in it.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not concerned with, high cholesterol. I would look at other markers, the A1C, the calcium score. Is there inflammation going on?
Yeah.
What is their fasting insulin? Like learning about the OMA-IR, like different numbers rather than the traditional cholesterol, which I think is just a way to get people on statin drugs so they can get a pushback.
Exactly. I mean, I have some of my colleagues, they told me that they are looking to lower the range to 180 instead of 200. So if they do that, that's going to add, was it 3 or 4 million people on statin? Wow. That's a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even care about, I would get a calcium score.
I agree with you. There's other markers you can do to check your heart, your health, your heart health. Yeah. I heard some people in the keto saying or claiming that you need to break your keto state once a week or twice a week with some food, with some starches. What do you say to that?
That will just cause you to crave more sugar. I don't know why you'd want to break the cycle, because when you do that, when you go in and out of ketosis, you lose a lot of muscle mass because your body doesn't know, is it a ketone burner or is it a glucose burner? So you're going to lose a lot of muscle mass. And I've had so many clients that they had the sweet potato, which turned into a cookie because that starch turns into sugar in your body. And that's going to hit your dopamine stores and really crave more sugar. So I just personally cut it out. And My kids are, again, 11 and 12. They eat completely keto. They're healthy as any kids I've ever seen. They just went to the dentist yesterday. They have nothing. The dentist was like, "What do these kids eat?" I was like, "They eat impeccable."
I mean, I see them on your Facebook. They have so much energy and so much life in them. It's
They're
amazing.
awesome. They're the best.
It's crazy. So we have a question here. So tips for cutting out the 30 years soda habit. That's a good
Soda?
question.
There's different, I guess I would say there's something called Zevia.
Yes.
Zevia is a stevia-based soda that you could try to, switch to that. I guess that would be a transition that you could replace. I like to, with habits, I like to find what they enjoy and try to replace them rather than totally cut them out. Or like we get like different, like LaCroix waters, different flavored waters, like
Yes.
strawberry water. It has sparkle in it. So you could do something like that for flavor. We have a soda streamer, so you could carbonate water and then put your own little stevia drop in there. I don't know.
These are good options, actually. I mean, soda's an addiction for sure.
But don't have it in the house because in the middle of the night it'll call your name. Like, shh, you gotta be out.
I've been there. I know it's not easy to cut out the sugar, the sweets.
Yeah, yeah.
So one of the biggest confusion in keto to me, it's about the brain, right? The brain needs carb to function or to survive. But
Yep.
that's not true. I mean, I've been carnivore for almost a year. I don't eat carbs. You've been doing keto, and I'm still alive. You're still alive. So this is a big myth.
We are more carnivore than keto because
Yeah,
I know where all the oxalates and the anti-nutrients are. My
yeah.
husband suffers from terrible Lyme disease, and if he does have any type of vegetable or anything in his, he gets more chronic pain, inflammation, whatever. So we are more carnivore than anything, and we're doing really good. We don't need any. There are certain parts of your body that needs glucose, but your body is very smart. It can make that from the protein that you eat in a good way. In the absence of carbohydrates, your body's very smart at making it. And I find that it's a healthier way to give your body that itty bit glucose that it needs.
Good. And related to that, actually, because I get this question once in a while, and I would like to get your input about athletes, physical performance. So, the carb loading before a workout, before an activity, a game. So,
Yeah.
again, is that a real thing there, or you can really perform
Um,
really well on a keto carnivore diet?
I personally run marathons and I don't eat any carbs, and I
Wow.
do really well. There's a whole community of Zach Bitter. He's a 100-mile winner of these races. He's blowing like these records out of the water with his races. He eats keto. But when you are an athlete and you're running out of energy, it's usually low electrolytes. And it's not an overnight process to become a keto athlete. So don't, sign up for a marathon and then switch to keto and think you're going to do a great marathon. It takes, months, years to become really good at burning fat rather than burning sugar. So
If I remember correctly, Kobe Bryant was on keto diet when he was playing basketball.
I believe that. Yeah.
I believe so. And he was doing really good.
Yeah.
Awesome. So anything else you want to tell the people watching us when it comes to keto or just diet or health in general?
I guess like I want people to know they can really eat delicious food. They really can. And they can also feel great and look great in their clothes. And like, I want to be the best mother I can be, the best, give to my clients the best, be the best wife I can be. And if I could never accomplish what I do in a day if I ate carbohydrates. I have so much energy because I fuel my body correctly. I feel so much happier because I fuel my body correctly. Yes, it does take time.
Yeah.
But, we prioritize so many things in our life. We prioritize where our kids go to school, what car we're going to buy, this and that. People watch an average of like 4 hours of TV a night.
Yeah.
Spend 1 hour of that cooking. Watch TV in the background.
That's a very good tips here. Most people watch TV at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, just there's really, and if you don't like to cook, get a slow cooker and throw everything in there, and the slow cooker does it for you.
There's many options and resources to help cooking faster and better. So
Yeah.
you have tons of cookbooks and books and videos and recipes. How can people have access to all that?
Oh, thank you. If you go to ketomaria.com, you will find everything there. You'll find thousands of free recipes there. You'll find my services there. You'll find my YouTube videos cooking there. You'll find my Facebook groups there. Everything is at ketomaria.com.
And I put the link under the video so you can just click on it and it goes to her link.
Thank you.
So thank you, Maria, for your time. I really appreciate it. I think we need to do that again. That was really good.
Yes,
It was fast.
absolutely.
So have a good rest of the day and a good weekend to you and your family.
Thank you. Have a great one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.